we are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
You are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. Donald Trump warned that all hell will break out in the Middle East if Hamas did not release the hostages it is holding in Gaza by the time he's inaugurated on the 20th of this month. He also escalated his expansionist rhetoric, saying he wouldn't rule out using military coercion to take control of Greenland or the Panama Canal. He also repeated assertions that he wants Canada to join the US. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dismissed Donald Trump's willingness to use economic force to absorb Canada into the United States by reiterating what his Canadian government has said for some time: merging countries is not in the realm of possibility. A US district judge has blocked the release of Special Counsel Jack Smith's final report on his probe into US President-elect Donald Trump. India's economy is estimated to slow to a 4-year low in 2024-25 due to moderation in manufacturing and sluggish investment, while robust growth in the farm sector is expected to provide some support and help boost rural consumption. Los Angeles has declared a state of emergency as a wildfire explodes from 20 acres to more than 1,200 acres just in a matter of few hours. There will be 78 million new job opportunities globally by the year 2030. This is according to a new report by the World Economic Forum. Well, our big focus, US President-elect Donald Trump escalated his expansionist rhetoric, saying he wouldn't rule out using military coercion to take control of Greenland or the Panama Canal. Trump has issued threats against several US partners. He floated using economic force to annex Canada, though officials in those nations have staunchly pushed back. He also proposed renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Trump's pledges of territorial expansion are improbable, but affirmed that he plans to take foreign policy to new precedent-shattering levels, as per Bloomberg report. But the swift, serious rebuffs from world leaders, analysts say, show how much Trump is already controlling the geopolitical narrative. Just listen in to a string of threats and comments Trump made a few hours ago.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too, and the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. People that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons yet. Those hostages aren't back. I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that.
And for further clarity, my colleague Natasha Estrani joins us with an update from New York at the moment. As always, Natasha, thanks so much for making time for us. Donald Trump has just held this wide-ranging press conference at Mar-a-Lago. He's made several controversial statements on international issues, energy policies, major pardons, even the late President Jimmy Carter, as you've mentioned. Take us through the key takeaways from this press conference and what could they indicate about Trump's approach as he prepares to take office in another 10, 14 days?
Well, this wide-ranging news conference from Mar-a-Lago is raising a lot of speculation, but also questions and concerns. These concerns are not entirely new. This is what happened also during Donald Trump's first presidency, when he came out and it was very uncertain on how the United States stood traditionally on key foreign policy issues. Now, traditionally, the United States has been seen as isolationist. They really value their independence, and they don't seem to have any imperialistic designs. But this is what changes when Donald Trump comes out in his news conference and talks about Greenland as well as Panama Canal in the way he did, not ruling out military force. Now, he didn't say that for Canada. He just said that he would impose further tariffs on Canada, which he said before, in order to make that country do more in its share to alliances like NATO, also calling Canada the 51st state. So when he makes statements like this, it really raises speculation not only amidst these countries, but also other countries as to how volatile Donald Trump is going to be. Now, it wasn't just about foreign policy, though. As you mentioned, he talked about trade a lot and about energy. And he has, remember, he's come to power this time also mainly riding on concerns about inflation. And one of the things that Donald Trump highlighted was that he was going to reduce costs by reducing the cost of energy, by not focusing on renewable energy as much, but traditional sources of energy. He criticized President Biden's stopping of offshore drilling in key sensitive environmental areas. So really a wide range of issues addressed at his long conference, including some statements which are finding a lot of room even on the social media, with him saying that the whales are going crazy because of windmills, and facts like that are not proven by environmental science. Whales are affected more by issues such as getting stuck in fishing boats and not so much windmills, but those are just small examples.
Tasha, as always, thanks so much for joining us with the lowdown. Meanwhile, outgoing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has slammed Donald Trump's argument that Canada should actually join the United States. Trudeau wrote on X, and I quote, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States." He added, "Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner." Now, this post actually came after Trump held that press conference that you just heard a bit of, where he said he would not consider using military force to make Canada the 51st state, but would use economic force. He argued that the US has spent hundreds of billions of dollars to protect Canada, even as the Americans run a trade deficit. Trump, by the way, as Natasha Estrani has also highlighted, has on numerous occasions suggested that Canada become the 51st state and has referred to Trudeau as governor. But the big question, What's next for Canada? Well, as Politico has put it, 3 words are likely to define the second session of the 44th Parliament when it opens on the 24th of March: nasty, brutish, and short. Well, the minority government there is unlikely to survive that week before an election campaign tests the mettle of a brand new Liberal leader praying for a sustained bounce in the polls. But the Liberals don't have a dance partner to keep them in power, as many analysts have highlighted. Any of 3 votes scheduled for that week could express non-confidence and trigger an election. But the only question is, which comes first? But Canadian politician Anita Anand, who's currently the Minister of Transport in Justin Trudeau's government, is being considered as a candidate to replace him as Prime Minister. Here's a sneak peek into Anita Anand and what she may bring to the table.
With the clock ticking towards the March 24th deadline to pick a new Canadian Prime Minister, the battle for Trudeau's successor is now in full swing. Parliament is on hold, awaiting the Liberal Party's decision on who will lead the nation next. One of the leading names in the race to succeed Trudeau is Indian origin Transport Minister Anita Anand, who has quickly emerged as a strong contender for the top post. Born in Nova Scotia to Indian origin parents who are both doctors, Anand has held esteemed teaching roles at renowned institutions such as Yale Law School, Queen's University, and Western University. Throughout her political career, Anand has played a key role in guiding Canada through significant challenges. Anand's political career took off in 2019 when she was elected MP for Oakville, playing a crucial role in Canada's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, she was named Minister of National Defence, where she led key reforms to address sexual misconduct within the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, as Minister of Transport, Anand is at the helm of a vital portfolio, overseeing the modernization and development of Canada's transportation infrastructure. Anand's political values focus on inclusivity, accountability, and social justice. Anand has also been an advocate for gender equality, diversity, and LGBTQ+ rights, making her a progressive voice within the Liberal Party. As a woman of Indian descent, she represents the diversity at the heart of Canada's political landscape. With Trudeau's departure, the race for the Liberal leadership is heating up, and Anita Anand finds herself right at the front of the pack. Samia Afsar, NDTV World.
In other crucial news, India's economy is estimated to slow to a 4-year low in 2024-25 due to moderation in manufacturing and sluggish investment, while robust growth in the farm sector is expected to provide some support and help boost rural consumption. India's government has lowered its economic growth projection for the fiscal year to the weakest since the pandemic, with economists saying even that forecast may be too optimistic. But India's economy is set for the weakest growth since the pandemic, and one must note that some economists are arguing that this growth projection might be a little ambitious. Pallavi Nahata has the details for us.
Well, GDP is estimated to grow 6.4% in FY25. That's according to the first advance estimates released by the CSO ahead of the budget. Now, this is compared to a provisional estimate of 8.2% for the previous fiscal year. The figure is still broadly in line with estimates. GDP growth was, however, projected a tad above this estimate at 6.6% by India's central bank, which had previously projected growth at 7.2% before revising that down to 6.6%. Meanwhile, GVA, which strips out indirect taxes and subsidies, is also expected to grow by 6.4%. Nominal GDP, which will be used as the base for the upcoming budget, is estimated to grow by 9.7%. That's compared to about 9.6% we'd seen in the last fiscal year. Now, this figure for the full fiscal year for GDP growth is actually the lowest in 4 years, if that is the pace that India does grow at. However, the figure is not entirely a surprise. We did see GDP grow by just 5.4% in Q2, and that was the lowest in 7 quarters, primarily led by slower manufacturing growth, and this had tempered the expectations for the full year. despite the fact that there is some bounce back expected in the second half of the year. Now, in terms of industry-wise trends, agriculture is expected to see better growth in FY25, while manufacturing is expected to be a drag compared to last year. In expenditure-wise terms, private consumption as well as government consumption are both expected to see a pickup from the previous fiscal year. Now, what do these figures mean for fiscal deficit? Well, despite the fact that nominal GDP growth is expected to be a tad lower than what the government had expected in the budget, the fact that we're also seeing lower spending by the government, especially on capex, does mean that fiscal deficit might still come in a tad lower than the government's target.
Right, in other news, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold talks with his Maldivian counterpart Mohammad Ghassan Mehmoon today and review various elements of bilateral and defence cooperation, which includes training, exercises, defence projects, workshops and seminars to enhance the capability of the Maldives National Defence Force. We are told that the talks will also focus on the supply of defence equipment. This is as per an official statement. And Mr. Mehmoon is actually visiting India and will be here till the 10th of January. His visit comes days after India pledged its continued support for the Maldives during talks between Dr. Jaishankar and his Maldivian counterpart, Abdullah Khalil, signalling a growing thaw in bilateral relations that did hit a rough patch last year. Meanwhile, Dr. Jaishankar has touched down in Odisha. He is on a 5-day visit there to attend the 18th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas that's scheduled to be held till the 10th of January. Here's what he said before it kick-started.
तैयारी तो अच्छी है, कल से शुरू होगा. कल जो है यूथ पीबीडी जो परंपरा है, पहले यूथ पीबीडी से शुरू होता है और फिर परसों जो है आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी आएंगे तो उसका उद्घाटन करेंगे और 10 तारीख को आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी होंगी और जो सम्मान जो हर दिवस हर कन्वेंशन पे जो दिया जाता है तो वो सम्मान की घोषणा भी होगी. इस बार जो स्पेशल एलिमेंट जो है कि ओडिशा आने का है कि ओडिशा की संस्कृति, विरासत, इतिहास जो है इसको हमारे जो भारतीय समुदाय जो दुनिया में फैली हुई है उनके सामने रखना.
Let's get you a crucial update as far as the HMPV outbreak is concerned. Well, the government of India has directed states as well as union territories to monitor the respiratory illness even as it played down the threat posed by HMPV. In fact, in a meeting called to review the present situation of respiratory illnesses in the country and the status regarding the HMPV cases following the media reports of the surge of cases in China, you must also note that China's winter illness season is less severe compared to the year before, according to data from its health authority. But the proliferation of a long-standing, though little-known pathogen called HMPV has been raising alarm both at home and in other countries. In fact, cases of HMPV are on a steady rise and the pathogen has been identified as the main cause of respiratory illness and hospitalizations this winter as per the Chinese Center for Disease Control. While not a new virus, as this is something that the Health Ministry in India has also emphasized, HMPV appears to also be vexing governments across the region, not just in India, but also in Malaysia and Hong Kong, which have been reporting cases in recent days. Well, switching tracks, increased digital access, geopolitical tensions, and climate mitigation efforts are the primary trends expected to shape the future of jobs in India by the year 2030. This is what the World Economic Forum has said in its latest report. Similar to their global peers, companies operating in the country are heavily investing in artificial intelligence, robotics and autonomous systems and energy technologies. And according to the World Economic Forum, while skill set gaps remain the biggest hurdle for employers, artificial intelligence will play a key role in reshaping business models. The report has said the global workforce needs to upskill themselves urgently if they want to remain employed, estimating a net increase in 78 million jobs. This is just within the next 5 years. So now, while 170 million new roles will be created in the next 5 years, 92 million will get expunged, is what this study has highlighted. By the way, the study showed that skill gap is the most significant barrier to business transformation. About 40% of skills required on the job are set to change, and 63% of employers are already citing it as the key barrier that they face. News and updates continue in a moment right here on NDTV. Don't go anywhere.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking Trump takeover. Every day at 10:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking.
Well, millions of people in California are under a red flag warning, meaning there is an extreme fire danger. Los Angeles has declared a state of emergency as a wildfire explodes from about 20 acres to more than 1,200 acres in mere hours. The fire chief has said over 30,000 people are under evacuation orders and 13,000 buildings are under threat. But the situation is being caused by wind gusts of about 126 to 160 kilometers per hour, combined with incredibly dry conditions and low humidity. Meanwhile, a judge has temporarily blocked the release of a Department of Justice Special Counsel report that would detail findings from Donald Trump's classified documents case. Jack Smith had actually led two federal probes into Trump, one on alleged attempts to overturn his 2020 election defeat and another on his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Both cases against Trump were shelved when he won re-election, but Mr. Smith's detailed report was due to be released. But on Tuesday, a US district judge who oversaw the classified documents case and controversially dismissed it last July, temporarily barred Mr. Smith or Garland from releasing, sharing, or transmitting the report. Meanwhile, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has announced a series of major changes to the company's moderation policies and practices, citing a shift politically and in the social landscape and a desire to embrace free speech. So now Zuckerberg is following Elon Musk's footsteps, and he said Meta will end its fact-checking program with trusted partners and replace it with a community-driven system similar to X's community notes. You must note that Instagram and Facebook will be impacted with this. As always, thank you so much for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. We'll keep tracking the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking Trump takeover. Every day at 10:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Show. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy joining you from Mumbai. We also have Divya Vadwa joining us from Delhi studios. Divya, from Delhi poll preparations to Trump's fresh remarks on Canada and all the colors and cheers surrounding Kumbh Mela, we have a lot coming up in the next 1 hour.
Absolutely, and coming up on the Breakfast Show this morning is going to be Alka Lamba of the Congress party. She's up against Chief Minister of Delhi, the current Chief Minister, Atishi, in the upcoming elections, and of course the voting that's going to be taking place in the national capital on the 5th of February, and the results that will be declared soon after. We're going to first get you the headlines before we get you all that. So in the high-stake fight in order to win Delhi Ka Dil, the voting will take place. The Election Commission of India announced those dates for the elections, which is going to take place in a single phase in the national capital on the 5th of February, and the results will be declared on the 8th of February.
And on Assam, a mine mishap, 20 people have been trapped since January 6. Rescue operations are still underway. 2 people have been arrested in connection to the incident.
And it's the US President-elect Donald Trump's big warning, saying that he will impose tariff on Canada. But it's Trudeau who's hitting back at Donald Trump, saying that this is that threat of Donald Trump to use economic force to absorb Canada into the US, saying there isn't a snowball's chance in hell to join the two countries.
On hush money case, Trump's plea to postpone a trial has been rejected. Donald Trump's request to postpone his Friday sentencing for his hush money conviction has been denied.
And Meta's big decision to eliminate its third-party fact-checking program to restore free expression and move to a community notes model that provides additional information on posts that might be misleading.
Well, let's get your top story, and of course, it's that lead up to the Delhi Assembly elections. Well, Radhika, you know, just after the Maharashtra elections that you've covered extensively, now it's going to be Delhi's turn, which is going to take place on the 5th of February. And the Aam Aadmi Party, which has been in power for a decade, has already announced all 70 of its candidates, while the BJP has revealed 29 candidates. The Congress Party is now taking a more aggressive stance against both the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP, Radhika. That's right, highly anticipated poll, certainly final. A nomination deadline, Divya, is on January 7. Votes will be counted on Feb 8.